Hot off the press, an update on the Open Gaming License has been released. Let's have a read, shall we? When we initially conceived of revising the OGL, it was with three major goals in mind. First, we wanted the ability to prevent the use of D&D content from being included in hateful and discriminatory products. No one has any problems with that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that everyone has supported the 1D&D changes that have been in that line. Smoke and mirrors. Second, we wanted to address those attempting to use D&D in webby blockchain games and NFTs by making clear that OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content like campaigns, modules, and supplements. They know nobody likes NFTs. Again, sure, but that wasn't the issue. No one has any issue with that. And third, we wanted to ensure that the OGL is for the content creator, the homebrewer, the aspiring designer, our players, and the community, not major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional purpose. You did a very, very bad job at expressing that, I must say. Driving these goals were two simple principles. One, our job is to be good stewards of the game, and two, the OGL exists for the benefit of the fans. Good stewards of the game. The people who make the game are good stewards of the game. In general, the corporates within your company are not good stewards in life. Sorry. The OGL exists for the benefit of the fans. Nothing about those principles has wavered for a second. Goodness me. There's been a bit of wavering, I'm afraid. There's been quite a bit of wavering. That was why our early drafts of the new OGL included the provisions they did. It seemed that the provisions that they had were based on your wanting to secure more money. The draft language was provided to content creators and publishers so their feedback could be considered before anything was finalized, with a 1-week deadline to sign. Again, this is duplicitous. In addition to language allowing us to address discriminatory and hateful conduct and clarifying what types of products the OGL covers, our drafts included royalty language designed to apply to large corporations attempting to use OGL content. Competing companies. It was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. Well, you messed up. However, it's clear from the reaction that we rolled a 1. You did. Good use of humor. It has become clear that it is no longer possible to fully achieve all three goals while staying true to our principles. So here's what we're doing. Oh, you're backing up. The next OGL will contain the provisions that allow us to protect and cultivate the inclusive environment we are trying to build and specify that it covers only content for TTRPGs. That means that our expressions, such as educational and charitable campaigns, live streams, cosplay, virtual tabletop uses, etc. will remain unaffected by any OGL update. Content already released under 1.0a will also remain unaffected. They don't want to go to court either. All right, well, that's something, isn't it? What it will not contain is any royalty structure. It also will not include the license back provision that some people were afraid was a means for us to steal work. That thought never crossed our minds. Well, you say that, but it was in there, and if it did cross your mind at some time in the future, you could have. That's the problem. Under any new OGL, you will own the content you create. Damn right. We won't. Any language we put down will be crystal clear and unequivocal on that point. That's really important because that was the major point that made me even make a video in the first place. The license-backed language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidence. The license-backed language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidental similarities. That is not how the language expressed that intent. That was, again, either very poorly worded or this is duplicitous. As we continue to invest in the game that we love and move forward with partnerships in film, television, and digital games, that risk is simply too great to ignore. Okay, yeah, protect your film, your television, and your digital games, but obviously you need to also protect your community because they're the ones that are going to make your endeavors in film, television, and digital games successful. The new OGL will contain provisions to address that risk, but we will do it without a license back and without suggesting we have the rights to the content you create. Well done, you. Your ideas and imagination are what makes this game special, and that belongs to you. A couple of last thoughts. First, we won't be able to release the new OGL today, because you have to rewrite it. Because we need to make sure we get it right, but it is coming. Nobody's in any rush. Trust me, take your time. Second, you're going to hear people say that they won. Oh. Yes, you are, because the community came together and let you know. They spoke to you in the only language you understand, in the language of money, and you had to recognize that voice. And we lost because making your voices heard forced us to change our plans. The hubris. Wow. Who is the arrogant person that needed this line to be in there? Who was the person who was like, yeah, we're going to back off on all of this. We're going to backtrack, but we're still going to put like this line in there. Let me just read it again. Second, you're going to hear people say that they won and we lost because making your voices heard forced us to change our plans. Those people will only be half right. They won, and so did we. You're doing so well. Whose idea was it to include that line? Our plan was always to solicit the input of our community before any update to the OGL. The drafts you've seen were attempting to do just that. We want to always delight fans and create experiences together that everyone loves. I'm sure the creatives do. I believe that of a great part of your team. I honestly believe that. I don't believe that of the people who are working out how much money you can squeeze out of the community. I don't think that's something you take into account. And obviously, whoever's writing that is having to include those comments from management. That's management keeping their little ego safe there. We realize we did not do that this time, and we are sorry for that. An apology. Wow. That cost you, didn't it? Our goal was to get exactly the type of feedback on which provisions worked and which did not, which we ultimately got from you. So you should probably say thank you as well. Any change this major could have been done well if we were willing to take feedback, no matter how it was provided. So we are. Okay, well, maybe the way that you solicited the feedback with the deadline to sign the clause was the wrong way. Rather than saying, hey, we've drafted this, what do you think? We want feedback on it. We want that feedback by this date. Obviously, we don't want you to sign anything because this is obviously not a finished product. Thank you for caring enough to let us know what works and what doesn't, what you need and what scares you. Oh, how condescending. Without knowing that, We can't do our part to make the new OGL match our principles. Well, finally, we'd appreciate the chance to make this right. Okay. We love D&D's devoted players and the creators who take them on so many incredible ventures. We won't let you down. I hope, genuinely, you keep that front and center, because that's what makes D&D great. So I'm very glad you backed up on this. I'm really, really glad. I think that the couple of bylines in there trying to justify yourself were unnecessary. You should have just apologized. You shat the bed, you dropped the ball, and putting that little part in there just makes it seem a little insincere. But hey, if you're willing to take feedback however you got it, I guess I'll be willing to take the apology despite those little details of hubris. So let's call it even, shall we? And to be continued when we actually get to read the OGL 2.0 that I'm sure they're hastily writing as we speak.